Hello, fellow truth seekers. This is Doug coming to you once again on this here Shabbat. Just want to say I thank you all for joining in on my videos, watching them. For new subscribers, those who leave comments and give me a thumbs up, I appreciate it. I hope all of you have had a blessed week and that everything's went well with you. I know we're in troubling times. And, believe me, we're experiencing it just like everybody else. And, the ever increasing inflation, inflation is under control. Yeah, sure it is. That's why, to buy a house anymore, you're talking $500,000 in most markets because of, people like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Carlyle Group, these these asset management companies that are buying up all the available property, which is driving up the prices of real estate, which is preventing people from being able to own a home. It's kind of ironic that the house I used to live in there in Apex, it belonged to my wife's mother and father, and I saw the paperwork from where he bought the house in 1972 for $10,000. I mean, it just goes to show you where we're, how far our money's value has fallen in 50 years. From $10,000 for a house to $500,000 on that same piece of property, and actually more than that on that piece of property there now. A built house on that lot that I lived on, you're probably talking $1 million. I mean, just crazy. And one of the things I want to do this weekend, so this is kind of what I'm going to fall over, is I had somebody leave a comment, and of course I've got to respond to it, that I'm twisting the scriptures. But I'm not twisting the scriptures. I'm, letting the scriptures speak for themselves. It's up to you to judge whether it's true or not. I can't make you believe anything. It's not my place to make you believe anything. My calling is to bring truth to you, and then you do with it whatever you will. And one of the things he said is that it's talking about the Davidic line that is going to rule over Jerusalem. First off, in Revelation chapter 17 and 19, or in Revelation chapter 2, it says, "He shall rule the nations with a rod of iron." Then rule with a rod of iron, and that he is Lord of lords and King of kings. Okay? In other words, he is the king over kings. He is the ruler of this world. Not over a particular people or country. He is the ruler over the entire world. Okay, the position that Adam was supposed to have, but he gave it up. He was supposed to be the ruler of this world. But he, of course, he was disobedient, as where Yahushua was obedient in all things. And so he has inherited the kingship over this earth. And we, believers, are going to rule and reign with him. And so is David. Because I'm going to show you here, now one of the things this guy pointed out was Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 14 was one of them, verse 9. And 14 verse 9, "And Yahushua shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Yahuwah, and his name one." Over the whole earth. Okay. And let's see. Let's look here in Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 and 7. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Elohim, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of Yahuwah of hosts will perform this. Okay. Now, let's look here in Daniel. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. You notice he says all dominions. Kings rule over dominions. Okay, and so he will rule over these dominions, over these kings. King of kings, that's where that comes from. King of kings. He is the king over kings. Of dominions, over the whole earth. All right. And now I'm going to look here at Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahuwah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve Yahuwah their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. At the resurrection, all the Old Testament saints and all of the true, New Testament believers that have died in Christ will be raised at the first resurrection. And then we can look here at, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the parable of the minas in Luke chapter 19. And let's see, Luke chapter 19, starting at verse 11. And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of Elohim should immediately appear. They were thinking right then that his kingdom was going to appear. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. He was killed, was buried, was raised up, and then he went away to prepare this kingdom, to get this kingdom, and then he's going to come back. Okay. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. Now, it's got a little number there, and it says pounds here, but, because that was the English money. But it is, in the Greek, it's the mina. In value, about $15.50 would be what it would be in today's money. And said unto them, occupy till I come. But his citizens hated him, and sent a message after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. And it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, Adonai, Thy pound hath gained 10 pounds. And he said unto him, Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Adonai, thy pound hath gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou also over 5 cities. And another came, saying, Adonai, behold, here is thy pound which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow. And he saith unto him, Out of thine own mouths will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then gavest not thou my money unto the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury? And he said unto them that stood by, Take from him that the pound, and give it to him that hath 10 pounds. And they said unto him, Adonai, he hath 10 pounds. For I say unto you, that unto every one which hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him. But those mine enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. Now, the point of this is if you notice, he took it because this guy was not a good steward of what he had been given. So he was not allowed to rule over a city. If he couldn't be a good servant over a little bit, how could he be a good servant over a lot? Over a bunch of people, over a city, over a kingdom, or a dominion, or a people's. But the one who was faithful and had multiplied his that which he had been given, then he was given responsibility over 10 cities, even 11 cities, because he was given authority over the city that other guy should have had authority over. You know, we have to understand that we are, he says, to those who overcome gave he the power to become the sons of Elohim, B'nai Elohim, and to rule and reign with him. You know, and of course David, even though David done a lot of bad things, you know, he committed adultery with Bathsheba and had her husband killed, you know, basically, murdered her husband, so that he wouldn't find out about it. And because of it, you know, his firstborn child with Bathsheba died. And of course he took the census when he was told not to, and of course caused a bunch of people to die. And he paid for it pretty much all his life. His household was just in a real mess. You know, his oldest son, Absalom, declared war against him and rebelled against him and tried to overthrow him. So, you know, David paid dearly for his transgressions. But the scripture tells us that David was a man after Elohim's own heart, because David, in his heart, panted after the Lord. He truly in his heart, because the Father searches the hearts of man. And he's going to look at your heart and see where it's at. Even though, you know, we're not going to be, reach perfection in these bodies. These bodies, you know, are prone to sin. We're still going to fall short. But that's why we are being saved. We're not saved, we're being saved. And it's a process. Because as I've talked about in other videos that I've done, it's a lifetime of learning this stuff. Plus, not to mention the things that we have genetically inherited. You know, our iniquities that we've inherited from our ancestors. That, you know, Scripture says that the iniquity of the father can be passed down to the 3rd generation and beyond, unless somebody along the way breaks it. then their genetics can be healed. It's amazing, but it can be. And it can break it. It can break that iniquity. But, but we have the things that we are raised up around, the influences that we have on us, our own nature, just our own individual nature, fallen nature, that will cause us to do stuff, but we're being saved, and that means that he has started a good work in us. And the one, and he says, he who hath begun a good work in you is faithful and just to finish it and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. But it's a process, just like it took us time to learn this stuff and get it, to all these bad habits and all these sin habits and all that stuff. It takes time to get rid of it, wean it out. Some of it comes through chastisement. Some of it through trials. Some of it through sickness. It can come in many different ways, things that he will allow to happen to us to refine us. Like a refiner refines gold or silver. And so we're being refined. And sometimes refining takes many steps, depending on how impure the gold is or how impure the silver is, determines how many steps of refinement that it takes to bring it to purity. And so we have to, look at it that way, that we are being saved. It's a process, and, what he may use to refine me may not be the same thing he uses to refine you. Sometimes it can be hard chastisement, which I have experienced firsthand. Other times it can be a trial, or it can be like what's happening here in our country. The abundance that America and its people have enjoyed for 200 years, really, over 200 years. The abundance of food, and there was times when people had to really struggle, to get, and that was times when the Father was speaking to the nation, trying to get the nation to turn from the course it was on. And so he would allow, like the Dust Bowl, the droughts, and the stuff like the Great Depression, which they, was concocted against us. But, the Father will protect you and protect the people whenever they are living rightly. But whenever, we get to the point where we're at now and he begins to remove the hedge of protection around us, then you see what happens. Evil begins to just flourish, and it pops up all over the place. And, look at what's going on in our government. And how they've treated these people that have gone through such calamity down there in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee and all down through there. And, they're underreporting the amount of deaths. My understanding is this is in the thousands. And they're just saying it's just 400 or 500 or something like that. No, it's in the thousands and thousands. And they're covering it up. And they're not doing anything to really help those people down there. And anybody that tries to go in and does try to go in and help them, they try to stop them, interfere with them, and seize whatever it is they're taking in there to, like FEMA and different ones. And there's a sheriff down there in one of them counties that has been going around with them. He run them out. And, because a lot of people don't understand about sheriffs. Sheriffs have a lot of power. Because they're an elected official, they are not appointed. And it gives them, a lot of authority. And, but they have to exercise that authority. And they have to be willing to stand up against these tyrants. But these things are happening because these people are evil. They're evil. And the reason that this evil is arising like this here is because Americans, the people, have allowed it because of their own evil. Because of our own evil. And it's like I said last week, there in 2 Chronicles 7:14, my people who are called by my name, well, his people. And, and there where I just read there in Jeremiah, it's talking about Judah there or Jacob, Israel and Judah. Because this, and this guy says, the time of Jacob's trouble started last year on October 7th, whenever Hamas, done what they did over there in Israel. That was, no, that is not the beginning of Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble really begins whenever this lawless one, this Antichrist or whatever, confirms a peace agreement for 7 years. What we call tribulation, because that is the time of Jacob's trouble. The 7-year period. It's the last week of the 70 weeks of Daniel that were determined against the people of Israel. 393 years or 383 years of it had been fulfilled at the coming of Messiah. But there's still that one last week. That's the time of Jacob's trouble. The time of Israel's trouble. And it ain't, people's got to get it through their head that those people over there is not all of Israel. There's a small group over there, the Hasidic Jews, that are probably the only ones over there that are true from the tribe of Judah. Yeah, they're going to come over there, but it's the Ashkenazis, the ones who established that nation over there again. And I showed you in Scripture where he says he will bring his people back over there. He will gather them, not the Rothschilds. They have went over there and done that so that they can bring about the destruction of Israel. That's the whole purpose of it. And to stir up the whole world against that place over there, Jerusalem. Because it ain't the battle of Armageddon, it's the battle of Jerusalem. Armageddon is, Armageddon over there in the Jezreel Valley. That is just a gathering place. These people are there, and I read the letter from Albert Pike to Giuseppe Mazzini about how they planned this out. The Illuminati. And I've showed you where Adam Weishaupt was, encouraged to found the Illuminati by Meyer Rothschild. And if you look into the concentration camps over there in Germany, them people were real Jews that were killed. The Ashkenazi Jews, they wasn't none of them killed over there. In fact, Hitler sent 500 of the Ashkenaz over to Israel to get a foothold in there. The Zionists. And of course, this kind of talk is dangerous. It's dangerous talk. But it's truth. And of course, I understand what the consequences is going to be. They're going to come after me. At some point, they're coming after us. If you're a true believer and you truly are following Yahushua, then that's when you're going to have to make a stand. All of us. Those who are of the way. I don't even like carrying the connotation of Christianity anymore because it has become so apostate. I think that true believers are going to have to go back to a first century form of belief that is of the way, and that we're going to ultimately be underground. House churches and stuff, just like they did back then. And you can read, I think it might be in Isaiah, where it says that that Israel makes a pact with death and hell, but they don't mean to honor it. You know, they just do it because this keep them from being destroyed. Because where you look in Revelation, the fourth horse, it says, death rides the sickly horse, the chloros, the green horse, and hell follows with it. And I may be wrong, because but I'm thinking it's Catholicism and Islam, that they are death and hell. And because it says they are given power over 1/4 of the earth. Well, their combined laity or fellowship, followers, is about 1/4 of the earth's population. And people say, "Oh, they're going to kill the 1/4." No, that's not what it says. That is not what it says. It says that they are given power over 1/4 of the earth. And that 1/4 of the earth, they're given power over that 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword and with pestilence and with famine. So this 1/4 of the earth that they're given power over is going to go out, and it calls it the overriding scourge. And that's when they make this pact with death and hell, because this overriding scourge is going around the world killing anybody that is not following their God. That's this, when it talks about the woman in the woman going in, being carried into the wilderness, and she is nourished there for a times and a half time. That's 3.5 years. This is at Great Tribulation. This is at the last 3.5 years of the time of Jacob's trouble. The 7-year period, that last week of Daniel, is in that period, that 7-week period. It says that the third, at the halfway point, that they cut off the sacrifice, the daily sacrifice, because that's going to be part of this agreement that they make. This peace agreement is to allow them to resume their sacrificing and stuff. And and again, the Hasidic Jews, I believe they are from Judah. And that these other Jews, these ones that say they're Jews and they're not, the Ashkenaz, those people have assumed identities of people. A lot of the people that were killed in them concentration camps over there in Germany, I believe they assumed their identities and found out, because I believe the way that they trace their heritage is through the maternal side, that through the mother, they trace their heritage back. Well, if you got these people in these camps and you're torturing them and stuff, you can get people to tell you anything if you torture them enough and hurt them enough. A lot of people will just tell you. And then if you got that information, then you can assume their identities, and and you can say, "Oh yeah, my heritage is," have their lineage, and you can present your papers or whatever. And of course, they were introduced to this Kabbalistic Judaism a long time ago. I mean, thousands of years ago. Those people over there in Ukraine and Russia and former Scythia, all in that area over there, they were introduced to Kabbalistic Judaism. And it was a perfect vehicle for them to take over. because they understood the workings, the inner workings, and all that stuff of it, and how they operated. You know, about the money people, the bankers, and they use that to gain control of the whole world. But you can look at Revelation, or wait, let's see. I just looked at Luke there. Let's look here at 2 Timothy 2:12. All right, well, let's look at 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 6, chapter 6, verses 1 through 11. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust, and not before the saints? Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. I speak to your shame. Is it so that there is not a wise man among you? No, not one that shall be able to judge between his brethren. But brother goeth to law with brother, and that before the unbelievers. Now therefore there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one with another. Why do ye not rather take wrong? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Nay, you do wrong, and defraud, and that your brethren. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, these transsexual or transgender or whatever, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, homosexuals, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Elohim. And such were some of you, but ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of Adonai, Yahushua, and by the Spirit of our Elohim. So, he's saying right here, that we're going to be ruling and reigning and judging. See, and that's where, if you read in Hebrews about the order of Melchizedek, Melchizedek was a king. He was the king of Salem, which is now Jerusalem. He was the king of Salem, but he was also the high priest to Elohim. And he was a prophet. He was all three. So is Hamashiach. He is our Mashiach Nagid, our Messiah King. He is our Cohen Hagadol, our lofty one, high priest. And he is a Navi, a prophet. He's all three, which under the old system, you couldn't be. And I've said this before, you couldn't be a prophet and be a priest. You couldn't be a priest and be a king. You couldn't be a king and be a priest. You couldn't be a king and be a prophet. You was only one or the other. They were separated. But under the order of Melchizedek, we are all of them. It is a royal priesthood. You get that? Royal priesthood. And Yahushua was the first fruit of the resurrection. And he is now seated in the throne with the Father right now as our Kohen Hagadol, our high priest, our intercessor. And we are seated there with him. Because if we are in Christ, think about this now. If we are in Hamashiach, we are the body of Hamashiach, then we are seated there with him in Ruach, in spirit. That's why it says, come boldly before the throne of grace and make your petitions be known. And we, like there in Jude, where Jude said that even Michael did not bring a railing accusation against Hasatan, Satan. He just said, Yahushua rebuke you. So we don't go up there with, railing against Hasatan and the other fallen ones. No, we go up there and petition the Father to rebuke them on our behalf. Because we don't have authority over them. Not yet. We have to overcome first before we are given authority. Because I'm going to read to you in Revelations, and right there, he just said, do you not know you will judge angels? I mean, you're going to judge the world? All right, now I'm going to look here in 2 Timothy 2:12. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 11 in 2 Timothy chapter 2. It is a faithful saying, for if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. If we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. Now, what does reign mean? It means to rule. We will rule with him if we're faithful. Okay, now I'm going to look here in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness and into his marvelous light. We're a royal priesthood. And holy nation, a peculiar people, or a purchased people. And we were purchased with a high price. We were redeemed. So, over and again, we're being told that we're going to reign with him. And according to our faithfulness of how we have managed the things that he has given us and blessed us with, our talents, our money, whatever, he's going to reward us with rulership over cities, over nations, and over peoples. Or, like some, Paul said that there will be some who are, that are refined, that will come out gold. Some will come out silver, and some will come out stubble, but they will be saved, but barely. That's like the one that took his mina and wrapped it up in a napkin and did nothing with it. It was taken from him. His rulership position was taken from him. It doesn't mean he was cast out, cast into the fire. just means that he's not going to have a position. He's just going to be just a regular old Joe, you might say. And, that should not be our primary focus, is to be rulers and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, we should, that should be a desire of ours. Because a lot of people have been led to believe that, you're gonna be resurrected and you're gonna go up there on a cloud and be playing a harp or something, for the rest of eternity. No. The Elohim's kingdom is a kingdom of work and doers. I mean, you can see that all through Scripture. And he sets the example by the mighty works that he does. And just look around us at the creation. No, we're going to be doing things. We're going to be, and the thing that's going to be wonderful about it is we're going to be in, glorified bodies that ain't going to, be sick and aging and hurting and dying. No, we're going to be in immortal bodies, flesh and bone. And you can look at what Hamashiach told his disciples, Thomas and them. He says he appeared before them after he had arisen, and they were like, thought, he says, here, touch me and feel me. I'm not a ghost. I'm not a spirit. I'm flesh and bone. Feel me. Spirit doesn't have flesh and bone or ghost. And so we will be flesh and bone. Notice there's no blood there, because Scripture says that blood shall not enter, flesh and blood, this flesh and blood shall not enter the kingdom of Elohim. We have to be transitioned, and we will be doing that which we were created to do. We will be doers. We will be working. We will be, following the thing that really makes us happy. Instead of like now, a lot of times we do what we think is going to make us the most money, or, as far as occupations and stuff. Sometimes people can be fortunate to do what they love to do and get paid good for it, but most people will chase a job, a career or whatever, because of what they can get out of it. And a lot of times they take these jobs and they make good money and all that, but they miserable. They don't like what they're doing. Sometimes they even hate what they're doing, but they won't quit and go to do something that they really like to do because of the money. And but when we are in his kingdom, we will be doing the thing that our particular personality, is the thing that we desire to do, and we'll be good at it. And I think that we're going to see things that are just going to blow our minds. We're going to see wonders that will blow our minds, especially at the end of the millennium, whenever the earth is burnt off, and the heavens and the new heaven and new earth, and the new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. I mean, when you look at what it's describing this thing as, it's huge. It's huge. And it comes down out of heaven, and it talks about having these 12 foundations under it, and they're all one, each a different stone, precious stone. And it'll have streets of gold and gates that are each a single pearl. I mean, and there'll be no need for the sun or the moon in that city, because they shall be the light thereof. But you know, the idea that David is not going to be given rulership over Israel, there in Jeremiah 30, I think it says he will. And that our Mashiach will rule over the world, the whole earth. And those who are faithful and true are going to rule and reign with him. I'm going to look here in Revelation chapter 2, verses 26 through 29. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the churches. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And let's see. Then we got Revelation chapter 3 and verse 21. Chapter 3, verse 21. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the churches. All right. Then here in Revelation chapter 17, verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And you know what it says about David? Faithful David. David was faithful. Even though he failed, just like we all do. But he was faithful to the end. And so he will rule with Hamashiach. And so will the disciples. David will rule over Israel, and the disciples will rule over each one of the tribes. All right, and then I'm going to look here at Revelation chapter 19 and verse 16. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of kings and Lord of lords. King of kings. He's going to be the king over kings, over nations, over peoples, over dominions. He's going to be the ruler of the world, the king of the world. The very thing that this Antichrist, this one who is in opposition, wants to do. And as I've said before in one of my lessons, or one of the studies I did about the return to Babel, that's exactly what's coming. It's a return to Babel. And where does it say that this beast comes from? He comes from the bottomless pit. I mean, and if you would go online and look it up, you can go and look up about the dedication of the Gotthard Tunnel over there in Switzerland. And you'll see that that's what they are doing. They're doing a ritual showing the rising of Abaddon or Apollyon. I mean, that's what that ritual is. And that's exactly what they're trying to do at CERN. I'm going to put this on hold for a minute, folks. Okay, I'm back. Get a little something to drink here. You know, and we are coming towards this time of Jacob's trouble. I listen to the rhetoric of a lot of these people up in Washington and others, you know, I mean, and what these people say, and true believers, you know, they're going to be hating us, and they're going to be out to get us. And we got to remember Ephesians 6. Let me go there. These little books, they hard to get to. Here we go. Because they're only 3 or 4 pages. But Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11, put on the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the blessed breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye are able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Elohim, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. And prayer is the big gun. That's the big one. And we need to be in prayer always. And, you know, because that's where the battle is taking place. Because the accuser of the brethren is up there accusing us before the throne continuously. And we have an advocate in our high priest, our Kohen Hagadol, Yahushua, and we are a part of the body of Yahushua. We're a part of that. And so that's where we fight our battle at. We fight spiritual with spiritual. Because we're not fighting against flesh and blood here. Yeah, it appears sometimes in flesh and blood, in people. But the real power behind it is in the spiritual realm. Hasatan and the fallen ones and these demonic entities that some are bound. There's still some that are bound. But there's a lot that have been loosed through summoning. And people can summon these things against you. Now, we are given power over demons. Christ gave his disciples power over them. And if we're following him, we have power over them too. We can rebuke them. And we can cast them out of people. But there's some that are really powerful. And, the disciples came to him and said, there was these demons we couldn't cast out. And he said, these come out by prayer and fasting. Because those are the ones that you have to actually go before the throne and petition him, the Father, to rebuke him. And so, and of course this guy says, I need to repent and turn to Yahushua. Well, I think I know by 1 John chapter 5 what it says about how you know. It says that let's see. Who is he that overcome the world but he that believeth that Yahushua is the B'nai Ha Elohim, the Son of God? This is he that came by water and blood, even Yahushua, not by water only, but by water and blood, and it is the Spirit that beareth witness, because the Ruach is truth. For there are three that bear record, and I've read this before, but he that believeth on the Son of Elohim hath the witness in himself. He believeth not, have made him a liar, because he believeth not the record that Elohim gave of his Son. And this is the record that Elohim hath given to us, eternal life, and this life is in his Son. And so, it says, we love him because he first loved us. But we can look here in chapter 4, and this little epistle is a great little epistle. It says, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous, as the Son is righteous. But when if how do you know that you love the Father and you love the Son? Because we keep his commandments. We keep his commandments and the testimony of Yahushua. What did he say? He came in his Father's name, speaking what he heard the Father say and doing what he saw the Father do. And what did he command us? Take up your cross and follow me. Take up your stake and follow me. So, if we truly believe, then we're going to follow him. And I've said this over and again. We have to follow his example. We have to follow Hamashiach's example. He's the way, the truth, and the life, and there is no other way. For there is no other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. Okay? And that's the name of Yahushua, HaMashiach. He is our way. He's the only way to life. And he set the example by keeping the commandments, by keeping the Sabbath, by doing those things which pleased the Father. He was obedient in all things, and that's what we have to be. We have to be obedient. And if we are, and we overcome, then we will rule and reign with him. That's his promise to us. And so, and we are not in the time of Jacob's trouble yet, but we're not far from it. And I think that the groundwork is being set for it right now. And because there is an awakening that is going on. People are beginning to awaken to the truth, and what we've inherited from the religious system is a bunch of lies. We've not gotten truth from them. I think back about all the stuff that I was told, the dispensational doctrine, and how so much of that is wrong. But I believed it pretty much all my life. And I had an awakening. Of course, I went through some severe chastisement to where I was on my knees. And, truly repentant. And truly wanted to know the truth. I really wanted to know the truth with my heart. And he searches our heart to see whether we are truly wanting to know the truth. And if we are, then he will begin to reveal it to us. And by his Ruach. And so, and I've been, I've been under attack, spiritual attack. And, I've had the sleep paralysis again, that happened to me it hadn't been that much long ago, probably 2 weeks ago or so. And then my health issues, which I'm starting to get a little better with that, but, and the Father revealed that to me, what was going on and what I needed to do. And, he led me to where I needed to go and to find what was going on. And because we are being attacked in every direction, from every direction, not just believers, but non-believers too. I mean, America as a whole, we're being attacked through the food, through the air, through the water, through every possible means. And, and they're bringing our replacements over here. All these people they've been bringing across the border, they are here to replace us. Even though oh no, that's not true. Our population's declining. We need to have fresh blood and all that stuff. Well, the reason our population is declining because of the stuff they're putting in our food to sterilize people and to cause people not to be able to conceive. And then not to mention all these seed oils and all that stuff that's poison. I mean, these are industrial lubricants. And they're feeding it to us. In everything. It's in everything. I mean, you can't go buy any kind of processed food that don't have seed oils in it. In one fashion or form. And they try to say, oh, it's vegetable oil. No, this stuff ain't got nothing to do with vegetables. It comes from seeds and highly refined. I mean, I watched the process for refining rapeseed into canola oil. And I'm going to tell you what, it's nasty. It's a nasty process. And, in order to get it to where it was palatable enough for people to consume it without rejecting it, they really have to refine that stuff. I mean, it's a huge process, and it's still poison. No matter how much they refine it, it's still poison, and it will kill you. And all the other stuff, all these food colorings and dyes and natural flavors, which can be one of 3,000 different things that they can call natural flavors or natural, additives. Just because something's natural does not mean we're supposed to consume it. I mean, heroin comes from opium, which is natural. Cocaine comes from a plant, which is natural. But that stuff is bad for you. And, you know, a lot of other substances, you know, that they, in the pharmaco-medical system, that they're pumping into people that sometimes are derived from plants, but they are synthesized. They will look at the structure of something that comes from a plant naturally. For example, aspirin comes from willow bark, from a willow tree. But they've, you know, synthesized it through chemistry so that they can mass produce it. And it's the same with all this other stuff. A lot of the active ingredient is something that originally was from a plant somewhere that is healing. But they can't patent something like that. They have to synthesize it in a lab, you know, petrochemical, in order to be able to put a patent on it. Because you can't patent something that occurs naturally. So, you know, and so we're under attack with that. And then, you know, and what's kind of ironic is that the, you know, when they was trying to force everybody to get in their arm, out there in California, the BART system, they had some of their employees that applied for a religious exemption from it, and they wouldn't do it. They refused to let them have an exemption, and was going to force them in order to keep their job. Well, they refused, and they got fired. Well, they won a big lawsuit against them over it. I mean, each person, I think, was given like $1 million, because they cannot force you to put something in your body that you have a conscious rejection to. But they were trying, you know, and because they want to see, the idea behind all of that stuff was about compliance. Who's going to comply and who is not. Who's going to be a drone? Yes, I will obey. Yes, I will comply. Or who is not. And of course, you know, I'm sure they've compiled a database, and so that they know who to come after. And I also heard where they some kind of executive order where they Biden or somebody put an executive order out giving the military the authority to use lethal force against Americans. And who do you think they're going to use it on? People that don't comply. So, and if America or a lot of the people here and in the British Commonwealth of Nations, and I hope you folks did what I asked and went and read Genesis 48 and 49, and you'll begin to see that there's no way that one little country over there did, and for, you know, I'd say almost over 1,800 years, the people of Judah were not in that land over there. They were cast out by the Romans in 135 by the Roman armies drove them out after their last revolt there at Masada. And so they got scattered around out there, and a lot of them went to countries around there like Syria and Lebanon and Jordan and Saudi Arabia and other countries that they would let them in, you know, and even some of them, you know, probably wound up over in Europe, and by, and through that all, around the world. But the house of Israel, it's, been scattered all over the world. And it was the, promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob about how he would bless them and bless their seed, that they would number like the stars of heaven and the sand of the sea. Well, that could not be that little country over there, because they have never had that kind of population. And, but these people collectively that have spread out all over, they're billions. And so, and their ascendancy up to, the heights of wealth and prosperity and everything is unlike anything that the world has ever seen. That was the blessing of Abraham. And it's, he kept his promise and fulfilled it. But just like the house of Israel, the stiff neck and hard head, we have squandered that blessing and we've abused it. And just like they did in the house of Israel, we fell into idolatry and to all kinds of blatant sin and stuff. I mean, just, and of course the same thing that happened to them is going to happen to us. We're going to wind up in captivity, and then we're going to wind up, he will bring us back in, bring us from captivity over there, the ones who are Israel and Judah. He will do it, not the Rothschilds. So I guess that's enough of my response there, but, I just want to show you that we will rule and reign with him. He is the ruler of the world, of the whole earth, and the faithful and chosen will rule with him. And so with that, I'm going to end it here. I love you folks. Again, I appreciate all of you, for watching and, for your subscriptions and stuff, thumbs up. And I hope that these studies will barak you, bless you, that you will get something from it, that it will encourage you to go and read your scriptures so that you can know these things for yourself. Be good Bereans and keep 2 Timothy 2:15. And I believe it's in Psalms. I think it's in Psalms. Might be in Proverbs, but it is the glory of Elohim to conceal a matter. It is the glory of kings to search a matter out. So we are, he conceals stuff in his word, and he wants us to search it out, to find out, and to pray and seek the truth, and he'll reveal it to you. But you got to really want it. And so with that, I hope all of you will be blessed. You'll have a good week. I pray for you always. And I love you folks. And with that, I'm going to call it an evening. And I'll see you again on the next Shabbat if Yahushua is willing.